Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're going to try and slice through all the noise around digital security. You've seen the spy movies, the green code just cascading down the screen. We're leaving that cliche behind.
I hope so.
Our mission here is to take something that feels, well, abstract cybersecurity and turn it into practical, really structured knowledge. We want to move past just knowing the basics and get into, best practices for actually doing it.
Precisely. To get real resilience, you need a framework. A list of tips just isn't enough. Think about your entire digital life. Your data, accounts, your job. It's all one big vital asset.
Okay.
So for this deep dive, let's say that asset is your castle.
I like that. So we're not just talking about locking the front door. We're building a whole fortress. We need defenses that work, even against, the really sophisticated threats.
Right. And the goal is to empower you to be your own digital architect. We've structured this whole discussion into 5 distinct levels of defense. And by the time we're done, you'll have a clear, actionable plan to go and immediately upgrade your security. So let's start with the most obvious place, which is also the most breached.
All right, let's unpack level 1, the perimeter wall and the moat basic defense. So this is that first line of defense, right? Designed to stop attackers before they even get to the door.
Yep. And it's amazing how often we fail right at this first hurdle. I mean, look at the data, the Verizon 2023 Data Breach Investigations Report. It's pretty blunt.
What's it say?
Over 80% of successful hacks use weak or stolen credentials. The entryway is everything.
So we start with robust passwords. But,
Yeah.
Okay, let's assume everyone listening knows not to use password 123. Let's talk about how to manage the complexity. Is it more about length or randomness or both?
It's really all three, but,
Yeah.
well, the industry standard is definitely tippling towards length. So passphrases, these long strings of unrelated words. And look, the critical piece here is that you must be using a password manager. It's not optional anymore. It's like your central nervous system for security. It's this ultra-secret digital butler that creates and remembers all these random keys for you.
So that's the perimeter wall. Now, what about the moat? The layer that protects the wall, even if the password gets stolen. Multi-factor authentication or MFA.
The moat with crocodiles.
Yeah, exactly. And we should probably talk about which crocodiles to use because not all MFA is created equal.
Oh, absolutely. We need to move the conversation past just SMS text message codes. I mean, SMS-based 2FA is, look, it's better than nothing. But it's vulnerable to SIM swapping. That's where an attacker basically tricks your phone company into moving your number to their device.
And that's a huge insight. So what's the gold standard we should be aiming for instead?
The gold standard, the one that NIST, that's the National Institute of Standards and Technology, consistently endorses, is using authenticator apps.
Like Google Authenticator or Authy.
Exactly what we call TOTP. Or even better, hardware security keys, FIDO U2F tokens. These need a physical touch, which makes them pretty much immune to remote attacks like phishing. So if you use 2FA, use an app or a key.
Okay, that's a big upgrade for level 1. And the last piece, the maintenance of that wall. Software updates. Those notifications that everyone wants to click, remind me later on.
They're not interruptions. They're the masons repairing cracks in the wall.
Right.
Updates patch the holes that hackers have already found and are actively using. So if you delay an update, you are literally leaving a known vulnerability wide open for anyone to walk through. Just set everything to update automatically.
Okay, so we fortified the exterior. Let's move to level 2, the gatekeeper's device defense. So like the attacker gets past the wall, maybe they disguise themselves.
Yep.
This level protects the actual devices inside the castle, your laptop, your phone.
And you need strong gatekeepers because the volume of threats is just, it's staggering. We are talking millions of new pieces of malware created every single day.
So let's talk antivirus or anti-malware software. For someone who's already security conscious, is paid antivirus basically dead? I mean, is something like Windows Defender good enough now?
That's a great question. And for most people, for most consumer and small business users who are already doing level 1 right, yeah, the built-in solutions are now extremely sophisticated.
Yeah.
Windows Defender, Mac OS X Protect. They're smart, they're proactive, they're always updated. The key is just making sure they're actually turned on and configured properly. Paid solutions, they might offer some advanced features, but consistency with the tools you already have is way better than complex paid software you never update.
That makes sense. Saves time and money. Next up, the personal firewall. Their grumpy doorman.
Grumpy doorman, yeah. You just have to make sure the one that's already in your operating system is switched on. A firewall is a critical filter. It works on rules, deciding who can talk to whom. If some app on your computer suddenly tries to send a bunch of encrypted data out to some weird server, the firewall is your first line of defense to notice that.
And what if a device is physically lost or stolen? We need that magical lock on the treasure chest.
Device encryption.
Right.
Absolutely. This is full disk encryption. We're talking about BitLocker on Windows, File Vault on macOS, and it's built into pretty much every modern phone. Turn it on. Now.
So if your laptop gets stolen.
The thief just gets a useless brick of metal. They can't get to the data. It's all indecipherable gibberish without your password. It's essential.
So now we get to what might be the most important level. Level 3. The inhabitants of the castle human defense. You can have diamond walls, but if someone inside is tricked into opening the gates, the whole fortress just falls.
It really is the most critical failure point. I mean, the psychology of it all affirms that social engineering manipulating people is the best return on investment for criminals. Why hack a system when you can just hack a person?
And phishing is getting so much more advanced than just simple scam emails. So our anti-phishing training needs to cover the new tricks.
Oh, yeah. We need to be talking about vishing, that's voice phishing, where they call you and smishing, which is phishing over SMS text message.
Smishing is scary effective.
It's incredibly effective because we just tend to trust texts more than emails. You get a message saying, your delivery is delayed, click here, or your bank account is locked, and that sense of urgency kicks in.
I saw a really tricky one recently, a text that looked like it came from my own number, saying there was suspicious activity. It was so simple, but it felt real.
And that is exactly the level of sophistication we're up against. So the key action here is to develop a healthy distrust. If you get an urgent request, especially about money or logins, you have to verify it through a completely different channel.
So don't reply to the text.
Don't reply. Call the official number you already have for your bank or the service. That one step just breaks the entire social engineering chain.
That's the ultimate smell test. Okay, what about internal structure? The principle of least privilege.
This is a core concept in big enterprise security, but it applies perfectly at home, too. The rule is simple. People should only have the minimum access they need to do their job.
Or their function in the family.
Exactly. Does the person managing your social media need the payroll files? No. Does every family member need administrator access on the main computer? Absolutely not. Limiting permissions just limits the damage an attacker can do if they get into one account.
Okay, we've protected the perimeter, the devices, the people. Now for level 4. The throne room, the data information defense. This is the innermost layer. This is for the crown jewels, your photos, your documents. This is what ensures you can recover even if everything else fails.
Right, and this brings us to disaster recovery. The SAN Institute, a huge cybersecurity training organization, stresses that your ability to recover data is absolutely non-negotiable.
And the mechanism for that is the famous 3-2-1 backup rule. But let's go deeper than just defining it. Let's talk about it in the context of ransomware.
That is the modern challenge, yes, because ransomware doesn't just encrypt your live files. It actively hunts for your backups and encrypts those too.
So the 3-2-1 rule has to be adapted.
It has to be implemented correctly. So 3 total copies of your data, the original plus 2 backups, on 2 different types of media like, say, an external hard drive and the cloud. And one of those copies has to be stored physically off-site.
And the really crucial step for resilience.
You need to make sure your backup system uses versioning or, even better, immutable storage. Versioning lets you roll back to a clean copy from before the ransomware hit. Immutable storage means the backup can't be changed or encrypted at all once it's written.
So it's totally resistant.
Totally resistant. You have to automate these systems, and critically, you have to test the restoration process. A backup you've never tested isn't a backup. It's just a hope.
That's a huge point. And for those ultra-secret documents, contracts, medical records, we need another layer, sensitive file encryption.
Right. This is where you go beyond the built-in device encryption. Tools like Vericrypt, which is a powerful open source tool, let you create hidden encrypted containers. It's a more advanced concept, but for people with really high security needs, it protects specific data even if the file itself is stolen and the main device encryption is somehow broken.
And so finally we get to level 5. The Watchtower, continuous vigilance and adaptation. The castle's built, but it has to be constantly monitored.
Security is a process, not a destination. This level is all about continuous monitoring and learning because the threats are always changing.
So we need to make periodic security reviews a real habit, not some yearly thing, but Monthly.
Yeah, treat it like checking the tire pressure in your car, just 15 minutes a month. Ask yourself, are my important accounts still using an authenticator app? Did I give someone temporary access to something I need to revoke? Are my backups actually running? Are there old apps I should delete to, reduce my attack surface?
And part of that is staying informed.
Mhm.
We can't defend against threats if we don't know they exist.
And that means subscribing to reliable tech blogs, not just sensational news. You need to know the mechanics of new scams. Right now, for instance, AI is creating these hyper-personalized phishing emails that are grammatically perfect. They're much harder to spot than the old scams. Awareness is the first step.
And the final piece of vigilance, the thing that separates the prepared from the panicked, is having a response plan.
Oh, 100%. The question is, what do you do in the first 5 minutes after you realize your main email account has been hacked?
You panic.
You panic, and panic leads to mistakes.
Mhm.
Preparation leads to containment. You need to know who to call, what passwords to change first. This shrinks the attacker's window of opportunity down to almost nothing.
So we've built our digital castle layer by layer. The big takeaway for me is that cybersecurity isn't about the tools you buy, it's about the processes you adopt. It's like going to the gym for your digital life.
Exactly. By using these 5 levels, you go from being a passive target to an active defender. You're protecting your identity, your assets, your peace of mind.
But the threat landscape never stops. So what's next? The biggest challenge on the horizon has to be artificial intelligence.
AI is accelerating everything on both sides. Hackers are using AI to write new exploits, to automate attacks, to create incredibly realistic deepfakes for scams. Our defense has to evolve. We have to trust less and verify everything.
And then there's the ever-expanding attack surface from the Internet of Things, or IoT.
Yes. Every smart device, your light bulb, your TV, your thermostat, it's a tiny computer and it's a new little door into your network. If an attacker gets into your smart coffee maker because it's still using the default password admin,
They're not just getting your coffee maker.
they're not. They've got a foothold inside your network, and from there they can start looking for your more valuable computers. You have to change every single default password.
And finally, the very human problem you brought up before, security fatigue. It's just exhausting to manage all this.
It is, which is why you have to focus on systems, not on willpower. Use the password manager, automate the backups, focus on the big things like strong MFA and just being vigilant instead of trying to be absolutely perfect at everything. Consistency is what beats fatigue.
What an incredibly rich deep dive. We've laid out the blueprint, the advanced technique. So here's my final challenge to you listening. This week, just pick one thing we talked about. Maybe it's moving your 2FA from SMS to an authenticator app. Or maybe it's setting up that immutable backup. Just fortify one level.
And just remember, in this digital world, the most important firewall you have is the one between your 2 ears. Be critical, be curious, and build that fortress strong.
Until the next deep dive.